Shalom, shalom, all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Ba'asham Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, pushing this 100% truth of the gospel, waking up and sealing the elect of the nation of Israel through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh. And salutations to your sincere Akimade that are pushing this gospel in all righteousness and sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so. This is your brother Abawan, coming back at you with another lesson, right? Another video through the spirits. And what I'm going to be going into is, one of the laws in the scriptures, because the apostles, they have always been talking about this. How, if because you have camps that they always talk about the law, the law, the law, when in all actuality they don't know. And that's actually in a quote in the scripture about the scribes and Pharisees. They strain. They go about speak about all they are straining at the law, but they don't actually know anything concerning the laws. They don't know, because you have these camps that speak about how we should keep the laws, but they don't know the reason why we keep some of the laws that we keep. Okay, and the apostles talk about how if you do a lesson concerning the law, you're not going to get much views, not because that's not what our people are looking for. They're looking for what? Entertainment and things like the laws. Okay, speaking about the laws or lessons going into the Hebrew, things like that. That is not right entertaining. That's not what something considered entertaining for our people. So they won't you won't get much views. Just like you just be like, of course, we know that anything that is spoken of in this truth is not a waste, but it just seems like that's what it is. Okay, because our people, Jake isn't trying to hear about these laws, but these are the laws that will govern us when we're in the kingdom. Right, so that I was going to go into the book of Genesis chapter 9 verse 4, and it reads, "But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat." Right, and that is plain, because that is plain, and I'm going to go and expand on it a little bit more. But first of all, I also want to say this. This is one of the first actual written laws, because this was the law that was established before, alright, the laws of Moses, because this was the law that was given, that the Most High spoke, they give unto Noah and his three sons and their wives, okay, during, and their children as well, during, after the flood. He gave them this law. He said that what? That the blood of an animal, okay, that is why, all right, if if for acting that in the third world, that I've actually seen animals get slaughtered. The right way to do it would be, you bleed the animal out. Okay, you slit the throat, all right, because the throat has, because we already know that the throat has major arteries on each side, and this is the same thing with all animals. Okay, so you slit the throat, you allow the animal to bleed out first and foremost before you start cutting into the meat. Okay, and then what, you make sure to wash off all the blood, and this is something that that is practiced very well here in West Africa. Also, once again, more proof to show that we are the true Israelites, because those kind of laws, this kind of customs would only be practiced among those that this law was given to. Okay, so it's that word that you should not eat, that you should not eat or drink the blood of an animal, because that is where the life comes from. Alright, so jumping in once again to the book of Leviticus chapter 17, the 11th chapter, Leviticus 17:11, and it reads, "For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul." Okay. "Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourneth among you eat blood." That is basically it. Okay, because blood, right, that is the life of that's the life of animal, that's the life of the living things that has blood in it. That's why you have terms like life blood. You have sayings like, if it bleeds, if it bleeds, it dies. That's why we have different sayings like this, because at some level people understand that blood represents the life of, right, a living thing, or living things that have blood. That's why he, in his witchcraft, right, in his wickedness, right, he has something called I believe it's a plasma facial or something like that. Where he, where these elites, they use blood or the plasma, which is basically something that is found only in blood, and they rub it all over themselves. They inject themselves with the blood of young, of youth, because they believe that was to keep them young. right, to grant them vitality and all that, which all goes back to paganism. Okay, like for example, okay, the Viking, like for example, the ancient Vikings, they believed that if they drank the blood of an animal, or they drank the blood of someone that they killed, that they would have those abilities. They would take on those abilities, right, of that animal, and those abilities of the person that they killed, which all which is all part of what this the paganism, which is not right allowed according to the scriptures, because what we're not allowed as people to drink the blood. Right, so the reason why I'm even doing this lesson is because I wanted to make this a two-part lesson. And this is the first part, going into the blood, and I also wanted to bring out some more precepts, like for example, the scriptures also talk about not the scriptures also talk about not breaking the bones of any animal that you eat. Okay, so it talks about the first and foremost, do not drink, alright, or eat blood or consume blood, and then do not break the bones of any animal that you are consuming, which all goes hand in hand, because alright, if you know anything about chemistry or science of the human body, you know that it is actually from the bone marrow. Okay, because there are cells within the bones, and that is where the blood is produced. That's where blood is produced from. Okay, so let me get that precept. Right, Exodus that 12, the 46th verse. Exodus 12 verse 46, and it reads, in one house shall it be. So okay, I think I want never mind. Exodus 12 verse 46, in one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. Alright, and this is speaking of the Passover lamb. When you eat it, okay, you eat it in the house in which the meat was served, and you know sure that you don't break any of the bones of the lamb that you are eating. Why? Because what, the bones have that marrow in it, which produces blood, which makes it once again, which makes it once again unlawful to eat, because it is blood that is being brought out from there. Okay, so now you see two different laws going into the same thing, which is basically not drinking or eating blood. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get an article, about the bone marrow, just to confirm what I said, which is that the bone marrow, alright, those are the cells inside the bone, produces blood. Right, so let's get that. And it reads, what is bone marrow? And it reads, the bones of the skeletal system serve many important functions for the body, from giving your body support to allowing you to move. They also play an important role in blood cell production and fat storage. Bone marrow is the spongy or viscous tissue that fills the insides of your bones. There are actually two types of bone marrow: the red bone marrow, which produces blood cells, and the yellow bone marrow, which helps store fats. Right, and that is this is what I was going to go into. The red bone marrow produces all the blood cells that you have in your body: the red blood cells, the white blood cells, and the plasma. It's all produced by the red bone marrow. So the bone marrow, so one of the functions that the bone marrow is that it produces blood cells. And you see, how this body is made as a system that can function perfectly. Okay, you see how the body is made perfect, and it has the multiple functions, and has systems put in it that produces what is needed for the body, for the body to sustain itself. Whereas you see people come out and say that there is no most high, okay, that all this is random, okay, that all these things that you see the body being, that you see in the body, that you see in the body, it all happened by chance, because that is all these what these damn atheists believe. But I'm not going to go into that right now. Right, but the focus of this lesson was what, to bring out a little bit of information concerning the bone marrow. And also I believe it wasn't written here, but there is a type of cell called stem cells, which are basically cells that can be made, cells that can I don't really know how to explain it, but there are cells that can change into any form of cell that is within the human body. Okay, and these stem cells are produced once again by the bone marrow, showing you, right, that the blood, okay, is truly the life of an animal, because what the same bone marrow that produces blood cells also produces these stem cells, and these stem cells are those, is how people are, it's how the baby, right, the child develops in the womb, by producing these stem cells, and these stem cells then then converts itself to all the other cells in the body. Okay, skin cells, brain cells, blood cells. The cells that create nails, the cells that create your saliva and your organs. All these things are made by what? These stem cells. And once again, you will still hear somebody coming out and talking about there is no God. But what the scriptures say, the fool says in his heart that there is no power. Okay, so you can clearly see, okay, just from studying the anatomy of the human body, that is was and that the human body was made, all right, carefully and wonderfully, as the scripture says. And the spirit is jumping out. The spirit just is telling me that I need to get that. All right, let me get that. Carefully and wonderfully made. Of course, then you just use the it's easier to get from here. Carefully made. Let me try another term. Okay, fearfully. Alright, so this is the book of Psalms 139, verse 14, and it reads, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and my soul knoweth right well. And this is what going into how the human body is created, a perfect system, that created to be able to sustain itself. Okay, no, the entire body, how it's just one, a merging of different systems all supporting each other. Because what, like going into the analogy that Apostle Paul made concerning the church and concerning the body, how if the whole body were eyes, then where would the hearing come from? Where would the tasting come from? If the whole body was an ear, where would the seeing come from? Where would all these, where would the feeling and the sense of touch come from? But the whole body has been made for their different functions. That's actually a lesson right there. But anyway, the whole body has been made with its different functions: the eyes for seeing, the nose for smelling, the tongue for taste, right? The ears for what? For hearing, and also for balance. And that's just going into the five senses. Okay, and what your spirit, that is your spirit, that is the powerhouse for your body, that houses that your body is a house for. Alright, so let me just end it there. Let's give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Ba'asham Rachak Wadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through his Peter Akemayu Akwat were edified. Shalom.